Good morning, everyone. I'm Corey Rose here with Jordan Chavez. We're bringing you breaking news on one of 3 wildfires burning right now in Colorado. At this hour, we're about an update on the Stone Canyon fire in Boulder County.
Yeah, we know that this fire started yesterday afternoon around 1:30. Hundreds of homes have been evacuated because of this fire. We know that it's burned more than 1,300 acres. No containment that we have heard of at this point. And we know that 2 structures have been lost in this fire.
We know at this point there have been several evacuations. Several neighborhoods north of Lyons and those living in town north of Broadway and east of 5th Avenue are on mandatory evacuations. We're about to get an update from the Boulder County Sheriff Curtis Johnson. He is going to be joining us from the Lyons Visitor Center with an update on evacuations and how many acres have burned at this point.
Now let's talk about evacuations a little bit more. We know that the Red Cross said in Boulder County, 380 homes are under evacuation orders. As far as Larimer County goes, we still do not know how many people have been told to evacuate from that area right now. For anybody who did have to evacuate or is evacuating, we're told that the Foundations Church in Loveland is serving as an evacuation center from the Red Cross. And as far as large animals go, because we know there are a lot of large animals in that area, they're being evacuated to the Boulder County Fairgrounds.
And we know that information keeps changing and keeps developing with these fires. So for the Stone Canyon fire, for any residents in the area, evacuations, you can text BOCO, B-O-C-O, info to 888-777 for any text updates that may be coming in. Updates are also available on boulderodm.gov.
Now, as Corey was mentioning, this is one of 3 large fires that we are following across our state right now. This one is not too far away from the Alexander Mountain fire that is burning in northern Colorado as well. Of course, we've been following the fire in Jefferson County this morning too, the quarry fire. Something we heard from that fire is that resources are limited for crews that are fighting these fires because that there are 3 burning at the same time.
Right. We know that this is 8 miles from the Alexander Mountain fire. And so the close proximity between those 2 fires has really allowed them to get air resources to the Lyons area quickly for the Stone Canyon fire. But that's really proving to be a problem for the quarry fire in Jefferson County, because as you mentioned, the resources are really stretched thin. Right now, they're trying to share resources, but the fire crews really have so much stacked against them. We're sharing resources. Of course, the weather is a big problem. And with the quarry fire, I mean, it's really tough terrain as well for those firefighters.
Yeah, and I think it's similar for these other fires as well there in northern Colorado. Now, something that we are waiting for is later today, this afternoon at noon, the governor is going to address the state about these fires and efforts to combat them. Something we're also waiting on again is this press conference right here with the Boulder County Sheriff Curtis Johnson. He is set to speak any moment. We're watching them get set up right here off to our side, and once they do, we're going to bring that to you live. But we want to again recap some of the information from this fire. A lot of you are writing and asking about this, and unfortunately, like you mentioned, Mother Nature really playing a big factor in these fires. It is bone dry out there. It's going to be another hot day. We have been told that winds are going to be on the lighter side today, which is good news, but these crews are still saying that's making it very tricky for them.
Unfortunately, we had a feeling something like this was coming. We have just been so dry, and then on top of it, we've talked about the humidity also being really low. And this is a pattern that we're in. It's just going to be dry and hot for a while, which is going to be really tough for fire crews out there. So again, the Alexander Mountain fire, that started up on Monday afternoon, and then the Stone Canyon fire started up around 1:30 yesterday. And then we learned, of course, about the latest fire in Jefferson County, the quarry fire. That started around 9 o'clock last night.
Now, as far as the Stone Canyon fire goes, again, more than 1,300 acres, 1,320 acres to be exact. No containment at this point, and last we were told it was moving toward the northeast. So we want to see if there's been anything, any updates to this situation right here. We're checking out footage from this fire from our crews there on the ground yesterday. Of course, we have our Manny Sotelo on the ground up in northern Colorado right now, keeping an eye on this too. But you could see just how quickly this fire really grew.
Right, so you can see all of the smoke in the air as well from this fire. Right now, it looks like they're about to start this press conference. Again, this is at the Lyons Visitor Center, and we're expecting to hear from the Boulder County Sheriff Curtis Johnson giving us an update on evacuations, how many acres have burned, and anything else that they've learned overnight.
All right, while we're waiting for them to set up, again, going over some of these details of this fire, one question that we want answered is one, of course, if this fire grew, how much it grew by, if there was any containment. Of course, we want to know about injuries as well.
Right, it looks like they're about to start this press conference. Once we get the go-ahead, we will take that to give you the latest information. We're showing you video here of the Stone Canyon fire from an aerial view from Sky 9, just showing how much smoke this fire alone, one of 3, has been putting off. All right, let's listen in to the press conference that just started.
I'll follow up with information about alerts and how to sign up for them and where to get them.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Curtis Johnson. I'm the Boulder County Sheriff. I want to give you a little update on where we're at with the Stone Canyon fire today. So overnight, the fire was mapped at about 1,320 acres. Not a huge amount of growth overnight, which is good for us. While the weather conditions were not really favorable, we did not get the strong winds that had been potentially predicted for our area. So there wasn't a lot of growth on the fire overnight. Fire crews overnight spent a lot of time and energy trying to secure the west and south sides of the fire because that area is closest to the town of Lyons, and we're doing everything we can to protect the community. Most of the active fire right now is on the northeast side of the fire, which is where we anticipated it. We believe that's where the wind is slowly pushing it today. There will be a considerable effort today to continue to work on this fire. We expect air resources to be returning today, dropping both slurry and water on hotspots on the fire, and we're really going to push hard today to try to knock this fire down. We are still working in coordination with our friends in Larimer County who are dealing with the Alexander Mountain fire. We're sharing resources, working together, and doing our best. We do not anticipate any more immediate evacuations in or around Lyons. We'll be messaging to the community where we're at as far as evacuations shortly. We do want the community to know and understand that we have a lot of resources here. Should things get hot and start burning again, we do have a lot of law enforcement resources staged here and also on standby that if we do need to do additional evacuations, we can ramp up quickly and get people out of harm's way. We do believe we have approximately 5 structures that have been impacted by the fire. We're still in the process of trying to figure out exactly what things look like in the most impacted areas of the fire. We did also today discover human remains in one of the residences. So I can confirm for you that we do have 1 fatality associated with this fire. I'm not going to provide any more details because that's an active investigation that our detectives along with fire investigators will be conducting throughout the day. With that, I'm happy to answer a couple questions if you have them, but I do have a busy day ahead. Got some work to do. Yeah.
Yeah, so are firefighting aircraft splitting time?
So we're sharing those resources with Larimer County. What happened yesterday is as soon as this fire started, I texted the sheriff in Larimer County to let him know that we had a fire. We had sent resources up there on Monday to help them. He returned the favor yesterday and told me, I'll get some of our aircraft diverted to your fire. And so we are sharing those resources. The air bosses and air management team are looking at where they can be most effective when. And so they are working between both fires.
What type of structures?
Well, we believe there are possibly 5 residences. We're having a little trouble because there are a number of outbuildings up there that may be barns or sheds that have been destroyed. So we'll be surveying that area more closely.
What area would the human remains found in?
I'm not going to be specific about that right now until we know more.
And do you expect any evacuations to be lifted today?
I think we're working on some plans to get people back home today. That'll take some time. There are a number of homes where the electricity and gas were shut off as a preventative measure, and so getting people back in with utilities will take some time.
And then are there any other people?
So I am not aware of any other missing person reports at this point. Sure.
I represent 5 or 6 neighbors, including county conservation easements for the recent Eagle Ridge
forest restoration project that did large-scale mitigation over the past year. Do you have any reports on whether or not that egress road to the north had been used successfully, or if the fire had been dampened at all from that mitigation effort?
I don't know at this point. You know, our efforts right now have really been focused on keeping people safe, getting people out of the area, and actively fighting fire. But that's a great, valid point that we will look at. And I'd appreciate talking with you later about what we can do to talk to the deputies who are actively working in that area and see what the impacts were.
Let's hope it worked.
Let's hope so. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to our PIO, Vinny Montez. He's got a little more details on some of the data and the work that was done yesterday and last night. Thanks, Vinny.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning. We want to just extend a couple appreciations, also just for the collaborative effort that's gone on this morning, not only with the Sheriff's Office, but the community, everybody helping each other out. We just want to reassure everybody that the Sheriff's Office and all the fire protection districts and all the assets that are being put towards this fire right now everybody's really doing a good job, and we just want to thank all the people that are putting the effort in there, and also the community for paying attention to all the information that we're putting out. It's a group effort to keep everybody safe. Just a little bit more information. This morning, as it went out on Reachwell right now and also through BOCO Info, they are lifting some evacuations. The last evacuation that went out last night on the west end of Lyons is being lifted. And I want to be clear about a couple things about that evacuation. There's also going to be lifting from basically Broadway, where we're standing right now, all the way north to the edge of the city limit. However, everything along the north edge of Lyons moving north is going to remain closed off to the public. So if people are trying to access the north end of this fire area through County Road 71 at Highway 36, that road closure will remain in place. The road closure up at 5th Avenue, where it turns into Steamboat Valley Road, that will remain in place. Moving all the way east through Stone Canyon, as that moves north, all the way out to about 53rd, 55th Street and Ute Highway. Those closures will remain in effect to keep the area secure as firefighting efforts remain ongoing. Also, the sheriff indicated that we do have one fatality, and that information was also going to be broadcasted through our channels. We also want to establish a tip line, and that phone number is going to be 303-441-3674, 303-441-3674. And that phone number is just if anybody has any information about how the fire started. We're going to treat this as an overall investigation to figure out exactly what happened. But if anybody has information or tips about how the fire started, we want to gather that. We don't want to eliminate anything during the investigation. Also, some additional data in our evacuation orders that went out yesterday that were sent via Everbridge notification. We sent out 2,286 contacts. That went out to 2,286 contacts yesterday. And just to remind everybody, that doesn't necessarily mean that was a household. That could be multiple contacts within one household. So I just want to make sure that we're clear about that. And then today we are going to return with the aircraft coming back into the area, large tankers, and also the seats, and they're both going to be dropping retardant and water on the fire today. I think that about covers it. Is there any questions about the data or the information that I just put out?
Do you have a sense about how many people have evacuated?
You know, I can't really say because I know some people, even though the evacuations were put out yesterday, not everybody chose to leave. And on that point, as people are returning into the areas that are given the all clear to return back from evacuation, the sheriff talked about the lighting and the power may not be on, as well as the gas. So crews will be working with that, and they have to have people present in order to reactivate those things in the households. So it's going to just take time and patience to get this all back to normal status. But again, hopefully that'll start making progress today. Any other questions? We have not been given a containment at this point, so 0 is the last time that we had it. When we get more specification as far as the containment from the incident command fire, we will put that information out. Wow, there is a plethora of agencies, and I really can't put a number on that. I know we have a lot of the local agencies that are definitely here, from Left Hand to Lyons Fire, Boulder Rural, and the list goes on and on. I can't give you an all-inclusive list right now, but at the end, as we move forward into this, we'll probably be able to get more data like that, and we'll try to put that information out through BOCO Info. Any other questions this morning? All right, we're going to close out. I'm going to turn it back over to Jamie.
All right, we want to continue to prioritize information and make sure folks are signed up for the various channels that they need to be so that they continue to get warnings and alerts or also just get information about how the fire is moving and what's going on. So a reminder that you can text BOCO info, that's BOCOINFO, to 888-777. That's BOCO info to 888-777. That's going to be a great way to get all of the updates of the fire sent to your phone. That's going to include a link to our Boulder ODM site. That's also going to have information for sign up to alerts as well as generic fire information. The website that you can go to directly is boulderodm.gov. That's BOULDERODM.gov. These are two of the best resources for folks in the Boulder community to be able to access information related to this fire. That's all we have for you guys today, so thank you.
All right, we just got an update from the Boulder County Sheriff, Curtis Johnson, about the Stone Canyon fire that's burning near Lyons in Boulder County. The biggest bit of information that we just learned is that human remains were found inside one of the residents there. It's a death investigation. They didn't give many other details about that. We know that now 5 structures have burned. They're saying that they believe that they're residents, but there are a lot of other buildings in the area, barns and outhouses and stuff like that, so they don't have a good gauge on exactly what those 5 buildings are. But again, human remains were found in one.
Absolutely. As far as acreage goes, they said little growth overnight from this fire, still remaining around 1,320 acres. They do say this fire is still pushing to the northeast, and they said there's still 0 containment as of the last update right now. So they said that they're bringing back in those air resources that we saw yesterday to fight this fire with both water and retardant.
Yeah, so they're really trying to get people back home. I know that there were a lot of evacuations yesterday. They did lift some of the evacuations on the west end of Lyons, Broadway north to the city limits, but they did put out a bunch of information for people to follow along for any updates. That's BOCO info to 888-777. You can text. That will get you all of the updates. And they did also want to pass along a tip line. They're treating this as a full investigation, and they say if anyone has any tips about how this fire started, they would like to hear from you. So that number is 303-441-3674.
Yeah, again, though, we are following the damage in this fire too. Like Corey mentioned, 5 structures impacted by this fire. Again, they believe that these are 5 residences, but again, they said they could not be sure because there are barns and sheds also in this area. As for some of the evacuations that are being lifted, they say when some people go home, they won't have electricity or gas because they did shut those off as a preventative effort, a preventative measure in this fire. Of course, it begs the question when we talk about the human remains that have been discovered, if anybody else may be missing. That question was asked. The sheriff said he is not aware of any other missing reports right now, but that is something we will continue to follow along with.
Again, firefighters really have their work cut out for them. This is the 3rd fire that we have been covering that is burning right now in Colorado. We know that fire crews were out overnight. They worked overnight. They're really trying hard to get sides on the fire on the west and the south sides of this because that's the closest to the town of Lyons. Right now, no more evacuations to add to the list that they have right now. They did lift one of the evacuation orders, but they said that they have a ton of resources on hand if needed to help with evacuations.
Yeah, and as far as those evacuations, again, anybody who is needing a place to go, they have set up an evacuation center at the Foundations Church in Loveland. Large animals can go to the Boulder County Fairgrounds, but we did get news today that they don't anticipate any more evacuations. However, if this fire does flare up to the point that they do have to issue more evacuations, they said they have plenty of law enforcement resources to make sure they get people out quickly into a safe place.
So just 20 additional acres overnight. They're saying not a lot of growth overnight, and that's thanks from not a lot of strong winds. They were anticipating strong winds overnight. That didn't happen. Of course, it's still dry, it's still hot. We still have low humidity. It's really tough conditions for firefighters out there, but again, the winds really helped it from growing overnight.
As the sheriff mentioned, there's still a lot of information that they are trying to gather themselves. Once we learn that, we're going to bring that to you across the networks of 9 News, as well as on the 9 News app and on 9 News Plus and 9news.com, and we'll have updates for you throughout the day. For now, I'm Jordan Chavez alongside Corey Rose. We'll return you back to your regular scheduled programming.